Hi everybody and welcome back to the channel again today. So today we're going to speak about the big event at the weekend. It's not so much we're going to be talking about Jake Paul and Mike Tyson, even though it is about their event. You know, primarily just going to talk about Netflix and how much they claim it was a massive success for them, being their first ever live event. You know, I'll come on to that in a minute, but I will first talk about Jake Paul. So obviously, I'd like to congratulate Jake Paul. I was hoping that he would get his face caved in. Unfortunately, it didn't happen, but it wasn't a complete surprise when you're fighting somebody who's 30 years older than you and has been retired from the ring for basically 20 years. Okay, as much as Mike Tyson is a legend, and if I stepped into a ring, he'd probably knock me out with one punch. At the end of the day, you do have to give Jake Paul his dues because he was able to stand toe-to-toe with Mike Tyson for 8 2-minute rounds. Now, the question would be, has Jake Paul, because remember, Jake Paul likes to claim that he sees himself as a heavyweight boxer. Has he got the balls to actually step into the ring with any of the top 20 ranking boxers? You know, I did do a video at the weekend of who I'd like to see him go into the ring with. You know, the likes of Deontay Wilder, the Chinese boxer that I can't remember, Yang, and also the British boxer that's on his way out. That's looking at retiring. He wants 2 more fights, and I can't remember what his name is at the moment because I know he fought Joe Joyce earlier on in this. Derek Chisora, that's it. Derek Chisora. Now that's a fight I'd really like to see because Derek Chisora can throw a punch. And it would be fun to obviously see if Jake Paul has got what it takes to actually stand in the ring with a pro boxer, be able to actually last, you know, like 12, 13 rounds at 3 minutes as well, a full length proper, not a woman's length of round, a man's length of round, and see if he'd be able to cope. Now, I very much doubt he'd be willing to do that, with the risk of having a lot of egg on his face with everything he said in the past. But time will tell at the end of the day. We will see in due course whether he will do it. But to be honest, he'll probably go for like another MMA fighter. I know there's been talk of one particular Irishman and stepping into the octagon with him. I doubt that he'd do it, in case he does get smashed up too badly. But like I said, you know, time will tell. Which brings us on to the next subject, Netflix. Now, as I said, Netflix published it saying what a massive success it's been for them. First live event that they've ever done. Okay, and when you take into account, normally, especially in the UK, you're looking at what, £15-20, somewhere around that figure. If you're getting a pay-per-view boxing fight, or if you're getting like WWE event or any of those types of event, any wrestling events, you're paying about £15-20. So it was quite refreshing that a big event has been screened live. And I appreciate Sky do put on boxing with Boxer free of charge on a Saturday night every so often, and you've even had some events on normal terrestrial TV. Not big fights, but you have had some. So I will give them their dues that they have done that. So how successful was it for Netflix? Well, there's 2 ways you can look at it. first of all, you take into account how many people watched it worldwide. Now, their worldwide viewing figures, so they've claimed, was 60 million. Now, 60 million to most people's not going to really mean a lot. So, to give you an example, the population of the UK in 2022 was just under 67 million. It's probably doubled that with the amount of illegal immigration we've had over the last couple of years. I'm sure I'll get some haters for making that comment. Okay, so if you want to be my guest, put your comments down below for the remark I just made. Okay, but that was the population 2 years ago. Okay, so the next question is, how many subscribers does Netflix have to say it's really successful? Right, and get this. Just under 283 million. It's 282.7 million as they announced at the last quarter, because it went up by 5 million subscribers in their last quarter. Okay, so that basically means like less than 1 in 4. Well, it's actually more than 1 in 4 watched it. You're going up to 1 in 5 people actually watched it worldwide. So the reality is, it ain't that really that great. It's great to have 60 million because anybody can make a figure look wonderful. You know, that's sales 101. You know, I've worked in sales for 20 years. You know, I spent my entire life, you know, making figures looking better than they are. You know, whether I was working in the solar industry, double glazing, whatever it was, that's what you always do. But the thing is, if you got 60 million viewers, but you got near on 300 million subscribers, that's not very good. So the question is, why was it so low? Because to me, that's actually quite low. If they were talking about 100 million, then that's a different argument. One thing I would say, because if you're not that side of the Atlantic in the United States, you're going to be having to stay up pretty late to actually watch it. Like, for instance, in the UK, you're going to have to be up at 1 o'clock. Did I watch it? No, don't be silly. I wouldn't even waste my time watching it. And you may ask me why. Well, to me, Mike Tyson is one of the greatest boxers of all time. I wouldn't say he's the best of all time, because that's impossible to actually say who the actual best boxer. You know, some would say Muhammad Ali. Some would say Rocky Marciano. You know, there's a whole list you could run up. But unless they're fighting at exactly the same time and they're in prime at the same time, it's like saying who's the greatest F1 driver of all time. Impossible to say. People always will say this person or that person, like in football. You know, some people will say Pele's the greatest of all time. Some will say it's Ronaldo or Messi. It's a stupid argument. You can't actually say, because they all played at different times. You know, pictures are different. Graham Souness in football said it. It'd be a successor. It'd be one of the best players in this era, because the pictures in the 1980s, you know, bobble all the way along. It'd be nice and cushy for him nowadays. You know, being all nice and smooth. Only problem is he'd probably get sent off in every match. You know, because you can barely make a tackle nowadays. But that's me digressing a little bit. So, because of the era when I was growing up as a kid and the boxes that you had through the 80s and 90s, I didn't want to see this fight personally, because I didn't want to see Mike Tyson get injured, because he's he's 58, 57, 58. He's fighting somebody 30 years younger. So you should expect Jake Paul to beat him. Shouldn't have even gone 8 rounds. Anybody that claims to be a potential future world champion and to be one of the greatest boxers of all time and can't knock out a 57-year-old grandfather, as Tony Bellew said, and that was funny what he did, and it's all gone across all social media, is absolutely correct. But maybe Jake Paul, as he couldn't really beat him. Okay, he got a points decision, so what? It's nothing to be proud of. Maybe he should go and take on Norman. Might actually be a better fight as well. So, do let us know what you think. You know, put it in the comments down below, because it was an absolute shambles and a joke. I always felt it was going to be a shambles and a joke. So, do please let us know what you think and believe. But for now, thanks for listening. And obviously, if you are new to the channel, please do subscribe, and we'll speak to you again a bit later.